YouTube Muscly folks, what is up? Today is the deadlift focused day on Mad Cow 5x5. The weights are still not that heavy, but they're starting to get sort of heavy. For me, actually, sumo deadlift, anything is heavy because I've never really done it before I started this program. Always had done conventional, so sumos are actually much more challenging to me due to the fact that I have some weaknesses, I think, in the muscles involved. As you can see, the back side, I don't know, I feel like my maybe external rotating muscles in the hip, maybe my hamstrings could use a little work, or glutes. Something in there in that chain is not working to my advantage on this lift, although in the conventional deadlift I can pull like 350, 360, that kind of thing. I'm much stronger on that than I am anything. So I don't really understand why it is one posterior chain lift I feel really strong, the other one I feel really weak. It could just be not knowing the lift, but at the same time I also have some stability issues at the bottom of my squat, so I'm thinking there's some muscular weakness in there that's got to be confronted by doing the sumos that I've neglected really ever doing. And I remember today the 265 for 5 or 260 for 5 felt
lightweight,
real heavy to the point where I had some maybe backgrounding issues. Might even belt up from now on, starting at about 260. 250 maybe on the sumos, just because I'm not real, this is maybe the fourth time I've ever done them in my life. So, it's just like I feel so weird, like I feel like my legs are ripping from the insides because I just don't have whatever it takes in the inner thighs to do these like as easily as I do on the conventionals. So I may just belt up on my absolute heaviest set only starting next week, just to prevent myself from tweaking out on a fatigue rep where I'm struggling to understand the form. I mean, I didn't really feel like any of those reps. I feel like I could have sat there and probably did 10 of them if I just feel like my form was getting worse and worse, and I was having a harder and harder time getting it up, so I just didn't push it too hard. Now, I've been having enormous levels of tendonitis all through my torso, and now it's starting to get to where I'm having a hard time even feeling it in my elbow. And I don't know if it's the level of food, but I know that my body weight this morning, pre-deuce, which means GI tract full of last night's food, so probably a couple of pounds too heavy, was 166. And so my body weight subsequent to my increase in calories has drifted back up to right about the midway point, halfway in between where I'd started cutting at last time. And looking back, I really shouldn't have cut, a dumb mistake that just led to me getting tendonitis. But in fact, I may stop cutting entirely and start just, when I want to trim down a little bit, just maybe do a little bit more cardio or something like that, and still keep the food levels high, because I feel like when I lower my food, it just gets risky in terms of my recovery. Maybe more activity is the way to cut down, or if it comes to that, which maybe it's not even wise to do cuts very often. I mean, I'm not like a competitive bodybuilder. I just try to keep around a six-pack. But sometimes I think I can go so aggressive in that I'm cheating myself out of some gains. But it seems like this particular bulk has given me a lot of capabilities back immediately. Like I started playing basketball again this week now that my tendonitis is cleared up, and I noticed that I could dribble and shoot just as accurately as before I'd stopped. And I hadn't done it in maybe 8 weeks, and I'm not good at it to begin with, so I haven't done it many times to begin with. So considering that, so it was odd that I was able to return back to the activity that I had been doing and have relatively similar capabilities. And I was noticing that as my food is drifting back up, and as I'm progressively overloading the weights of this program, raising them back up closer to the levels I would normally lift, certainly not on the squat today. This is a very light squat day. But, for example, on the overhead press today, I had to go up to 110, which for me, 115 is like a hard 5 to 6 right before I started cutting and damaged my strength by going down in food. But so rising back up for today's top end set of 5 at 110 is real close to something I would normally do. So that's a really tough set for me, and that was exciting because I had been having the tendonitis pretty much up until last week. That was really holding me back on everything. I mean, I still feel it a little bit in my right arm, I would say, but only like on the second warm-up set on shoulders. It's enough to let me know that I shouldn't be crazy with it, but at the same time I have the food now to recover. I've been able to play some basketball. I've been able to, do a little bit more. So I'm feeling excited, about having basically transformed this week from being kind of a little, when you're injured, your body is like constantly thinking about it. It interferes with your recovery. It interferes with your ability to kind of let loose and feel athletic. It interferes drastically with your athleticism because you can't commit to any real movement pattern to the extreme without fear of like, what if you slip, and you reach out and use your hand to try and, and then you injure your shoulder worse. There's just so many little, because of this, then this, other problems that when you have any sort of an injury, even if it's, getting a little better or whatever, that kind of makes you, even when you're working out and you're doing isolation movements to try and still keep the programs going that are dodging whatever tweak it is and allow you to make progress, and even if you are making progress, and even let's say you're even seeing physique progress or anything, just the sheer fact that you don't feel 100%, you can't commit your mind 100% to any activity, your body knows that it needs some extra recovery, so it sends you all these signals against high levels of performance. It's just an amazingly great feeling to be getting back to where I feel athletic again, where I feel like I can do everything normally. So today I brought my hanging leg raises back in the program, which is a glorious moment. I've been having to do those ball crunches to kind of not use my shoulders as much, and it's just like, man, who wants to do a ball crunch? Like, that is 30 reps already, even just to get a little slight burn, and 30 reps is very boring. It takes like a minute and a half of time. And then after you've done it 2 weeks, it doesn't work anymore, and now you got to do 35 reps. I mean, that just gets really old. Whereas the hanging leg raise, really 3 sets of 10 of this, my abs are going to be pretty cooked. I mean, if you can do 3 clean sets of 10 on this, it's probably not. You're on maintenance, really, just to have strong abs. I mean, especially if you're doing compound movements that work the abs anyway. That's my theory on it. I'm not one of those guys that's going to sit around all day, whittle down the abs. That, to me, is the thing I hate the most about training, probably, is training abs. Like, it's the most unpleasant, uncool. Like, it seems like I'm injuring myself more than I'm working the abs most of the time. I would say, like, most abs exercises start to feel like they're breaking your back anywhere close to fatigue, really. So, I mean, you almost have to do them short of fatigue to get anything out of them, fundamentally, I think, whereas most people do them way past fatigue, and they almost use them as a secondary form of cardio, which is like kind of using I feel like it's using your lower back spine, to do your cardio with, which to me strikes me as absurd. So I don't personally whittle my abs down with a whole lot of activity. I just do a lot of compounds. I don't do any seated stuff. I do everything standing, so that with the exception of I do donkey calf raises instead of standing calf raises, because I feel like the extra 300 some odd pound hold on your back for no reason just to work your calves is a little extreme. But in addition to deadlifts and squats and all that. But for the most part, I try everything holistic, where you're using your abs all the time and everything. They're getting used on this. They're getting used every which way. Now, I went back to the 30-inch box, which I just set as a PR on Monday, for 1 set of 3. And it wasn't easy. I'm still learning this one. Second rep I didn't even get, really. I kind of had to jump back off because I couldn't land it right. But I did get the third rep pretty much. Landings are still kind of iffy on this. See, that one I don't count as a real rep because I lost my balance and had to jump off immediately. But ultimately, the 30-inch box, which was terrifying, completely and totally terrifying to me 2 weeks ago. I mean, I was like really afraid looking at the possibility of jumping on that. Like, oh my God, I'm going to actually die. And now it just looks like some stuff I jump on. I better be freaking careful. But it's not this terrifying thing anymore, which is a really amazing jump for it to jump from being actually looking full-blown terrifying to me 2 weeks ago to now it's like straight up. It's not easy, but it is very doable. It's just fascinating because I've always considered myself to be a bad jumper. I guess I just had never tried to learn the skill. But thinking about the fact that, I'm a fast sprinter and I have a good deadlift and I have a low body weight, and there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to jump high. It's just lack of confidence and lack of training. And now that I've been training it just for 4 weeks, I've gotten to where I can get on that 30-inch box. So, whatever, man. You got to work on your weak points and bring them up. Like, comment, and subscribe. I sure do appreciate all your time. Peace.